welcome to Swamy Says Only on NewsX. Well, it's been a very hectic week. We even pushed back our our weekly interview, thinking and hoping that US would resolve its crisis. It has not. As you know, Dr. Swamy had been saying that Trump has the edge. Now it seems it's going to be as Biden might still pull through. But we're going to talk to Dr. Swamy as to what this means for India and where he thinks the Trump campaign really got stuck, and his takeaways from this whole exercise. Dr. Swamy, where is this whole thing stuck? Are you still holding back? I saw your thing saying that, do you believe Trump when he says that, this whole thing has been a manufactured win? It's a manufactured win for Biden.
Well, see, it's an election in another country. And I think it's improper for me to, without being an eyewitness of the thing and of the whole process to say it. But when the President of the United States himself is saying that rigging is taking place, we have to take notice of it. And there are some weird things like, these postal ballot papers and so on, not being subject to scrutiny to find out whether the man who's voted is actually dead and somebody else's vote. This has been very poor checkup. I think I would very strongly recommend them to read my judgment in Supreme Court in my petition on these VVPAT. And United States is an electronically savvy country. And therefore, despite all the dangers of rigging through electronics, which the Americans can easily combat, they should shift from ballot papers to VVPAT. Based on electronic voting. But this one is something which, from a distance and having studied elections very closely in India and this complexity, I do feel that Trump has been fighting this alone. I think even his younger party colleagues are thinking more of 2024 and being in a position to have the deep state, as it's called, not so angry with Trump has been a reformer. He's in one sense a revolutionary. He's brought in some changes where many people have lost their power outside this, below the system. I wouldn't say outside the system, but below the system. What they call is the deep state. And he listens to nobody. He's literally brought the party also into just a rubber stamp. So all these factors are working, but considering the kind of polling, sampling that was done, where they said Trump is winning, Biden is winning by 2/3 majority. And now it's neck and neck. It will now depend on Pennsylvania and maybe Arizona, which is also open, and I don't know what the Supreme Court will do. There's enough for the Supreme to get in, but whether they get in after the election or before the election is the question. So I would say Trump comes, India can breathe easy. The others come, Indian nation can breathe easy. I don't think that Biden and company are against India as a concept. But they are quite clear, and they've been clear for quite some time, that the Indians should not move from the bland secularism that they were practicing during, where the Indian heritage, ancestry, these things don't matter. India is a country like America. Immigrants have been coming over the centuries and are populating it, some conquering it and then ruling it, that sort of thing. That kind of bogus history which has been circulating, which we are now trying to replace. I would like to see done at a faster pace than Mr. Modi, who seems to be going very slow on these matters. So I think that crowd will target particularly Modi.
Already happened. They've already, Kamala Harris has spoken against this removal of 370, for instance.
Yes, that's right. That's right. 370. They have now got China on their side. They got the Russians.
China on their side, meaning?
No, the Chinese are naturally today against the present dispensation. I've been telling you from beginning that they want to make Modi into a Jawaharlal Nehru, as far as the border war is concerned.
We had Kamala Harris, of course, talking about Article 370. She's against the removal of it. So we've had these noises made even before during the campaign.
Yes, absolutely. See, the removal of Article 370 is now got translated over the last 7 decades into a Hindu consolidation demand. Every nationalist should be in favor. But since the secular elements have been, although it is in the Constitution, it was written as a temporary measure which can be removed by a presidential notification without a parliament vote. It was brought in to pacify the Constituent Assembly, which was dead against India going to the United Nations and having Article 370. They said, why only for them? We are also royalty. And we should every state which has merged into India, princely state, they should all get 370. Why only the Kashmir? So to pacify them, they said this is a temporary measure which will be removed by the president, but it has taken more than 70 years, and it has been done by BJP, which is riding on the consolidation of Hindu votes. And so naturally, Kamala Harris and her ilk would definitely find us a very inconvenient lot. So I'm saying that Article 370 and CAA, which of course is all, I had to file a defamation case against the UN Under-Secretary General for, twisting what I said. Based on some Pakistani television, cut and paste interview. Ultimately, I must thank several countries, which I shall not name, but the UN Secretary General did not extend this man's term, and in fact terminated it before his term ended. So,
you got your closure.
Yeah, I got my closure. I've still got to do with the BBC and the Indian Express, which is, but for the corona, I would have been pursuing it just now. So I'm saying that a person like me who chooses words very carefully in English has been, Imran Khan made a public statement against me. Whatever the Pakistani president who want to, elevate me to the status or his status, which of course I don't think much of, but anyway, as a post, it is a big status. And this campaign was running. So you remember the problem I had with Harvard, the liberals behind my back.
You're saying that there is going to be a campaign against people who represent a certain ideology if these two, Kamala Harris and Biden, come into power.
Yes, and they will expand it to Gujarat. They will do it, all kinds of things, the Gujarat riots. All these will be reopened, and they've got Indian intellectuals in tow, many of them. So that is what I had warned you in my earlier. Why I'm supporting Trump when you asked me, I said because the alternative is I'm not bothered about it. India can fob off anything, but it will be targeting only BJP, and in particular Modi. And I may have differences with Modi on policy and all that, but ultimately, we are all in it together.
But Modi is now the prime minister. He's not just some chief minister. Will they take it so personally?
I agree, but they are people who will not make that distinction very much. They'll make they'll drag India to the religious freedom thing. They'll drag India into UNHRC, all that. I think those are the dangers, but I think Modi needs to have a proper think tank who can combat this. You see, he can't do it alone. He can't do it with the pygmies that he has surrounded himself.
Dr. Swamy, Modi is still the prime minister. He's not a chief minister of some state. So can will the US then go after him in such a personal manner because he now represents a country, it's not him alone. You're saying they'll open the investigation in the Gujarat riots.
Of course they will, because he is still entitled to contest the next election. So they would like to defend the Republican Party as much as possible. And in that process, people who haven't done anything but they kept quiet while he was doing it, they will also be under a cloud. So they will eliminate possible candidates for 2024. So I think this is going to be a watershed year for American politics. I mean, very much like 1930, 32. And Republicans will have to either close ranks or completely redefine themselves.
Which is what is probably going to happen. The fact that you began by saying that his party is not supporting him, which means they do want to redefine themselves.
Yeah, that's right. They feel that it's become more like a personal, like Julius Caesar, running the country. It happened with Nehru too. The party went for a 6 despite stalwarts, and Mrs. Gandhi took it to its logical end. And today, after the UPA rule, it's in tatters because of that. Nobody but pygmies are around, and that mistake, fortunately, cannot happen in BJP because of RSS. RSS is the backbone of the BJP, and RSS can throw up leadership anytime. So even if Modi runs with pygmies around him, it's our IT cells. IT cells are not going to give you public popularity. You get exposed, which has happened in one case recently, as you know. So I think we have many lessons to learn from this personalization of politics. Democracy means teamwork, and teamwork means going by majority, and acting according to a variety of opinions, and then trying to find a common way.
That was Trump's biggest flaw, that he ran a one-man show.
One-man show, absolutely, and debased also people who disagreed with him. The same thing happens today. If I say that the Chinese are in possession of Indian territory, I will immediately get tweets from Bhaktas saying that I'm pro-Chinese. Why don't you go to China? I don't mind going to China. I speak the language there. I can live comfortably. But this is not because they want me to leave India. I'm an Indian. But for me, the emergency would never have led to an election. So therefore, these riffraffs who are brought in on fake IDs, they are very dangerous. So when you have a one-man thing who doesn't want to listen to criticism of colleagues, then this kind of thing will go. I think it's a great lesson for us, what has happened in America.
And what about Biden coming in, in vis-a-vis China? People are saying that he won't be as aggressive as Trump was, but he'll try and build a democratic coalition against China. All the democracies should unite against China.
It's not one way. The Chinese who's, in fact, it may be Xi Jinping is a one-man powerhouse. But Xi Jinping, since he has no challenge, he is now president for life. He has assembled some of the brightest minds. Some of them were my students. I can tell you they were so good in class that they all got A's in my Harvard classes. Today they are heads of departments of important universities, and they are advisors. So he has a feedback system. The most important thing in any human being is a feedback system. Any system which doesn't have a feedback will collapse. And so that is what is lacking today. I mean, when you knew that the Chinese are already nibbling away from 2013, was there anyone to go and tell the Prime Minister? I am one who told, but I didn't have credibility with him. So I'm saying that the democracy can be run only by collective leadership. You can have first amongst the leadership. You may respect him because he has done so much or he has won the hearts of the people. But you can't say that only his opinion matters, and any contrary opinion means you're an enemy.
Take a break at this very provocative point and come back and also talk to you about that tussle you got in with Russia. We saw Russia, in fact, reacting to an article you wrote for us at the Sunday Guardian. We were talking about the lessons one could learn from Trump's, if it looks like an impending defeat, really. One is that you said that he should take a more collective leadership pattern is called for in democracies. Taking that a bit further, how do you see, the fact that, opinion polls have predicted a big surge for Biden? Now, that has not happened. Trump, the fact that he's still hanging on, still fighting, means that Trump may go, but as they say, Trumpism is here to stay.
Absolutely. America is a highly structured society. And the blue-collar worker, he's literate. He has opinions. He's expressed, they have a common language, which is English. And so media is available to them. All the media is available to them. So they had been beginning to feel that they are now being completely left out of the system. They have to just follow. And that there was an elitism of left-wing intellectuals, left-leaning intellectuals, I should say, who were making policies in which they were being reduced to depend on government for everything. Now, Trump came and he was quite unabashed. He did a lot for the workers. He did a lot for the stock market too. And then he, instead of being conciliatory and sophisticated with foreigners, he was crude as hell. And but on the other hand, he got people like the North Korean leader to come and meet him in a common place in Singapore, and then invite him back to visit North Korea. He didn't kowtow to the Chinese because Chinese were very good business. So the business was all more or less making sure that nothing adverse about China came. And but he was very tough on China on the fact that the most favored nation clause gave them such facilities on tariff. So he was, and then he started seeing that the American business doesn't go out for cheap labor, and that's how he won a huge base. Trump has a base, but there has to be another Trump to recapture that base. And this election is in fact a crucial test for the American society.
The fact that the Senate still, Republicans still control the Senate, will that be something you see a balancing act?
Well, that's precisely what I said. They want to now have a new culture, cooperation, deals, so on. Not like Trump, do this or to hell with you. So the Republicans and the Democrats will work much more closely with Trump gone. If Trump is gone, I still don't rule him out.
Still not ruling him out. That's interesting.
After seeing so many ups and downs. And I don't know what the Supreme Court might do. I think, assuming that Trump is gone, I think you will see a new bipartisan politics in the United States.
Is that a good thing?
That's not good in India, because on India, the Republicans have no stakes in that sense. A strong foreign policy party is Democrats. And most of the intellectuals who are specialists on India and Asia and China, they're all Democrats. There's hardly anyone in the Republican camp. So somebody had a picture of I think it's a touched up picture of Henry Kissinger, and saying, this is the man who is responsible for the deep state in the United States. That's a Twitter going around. Kissinger, of course, he was at Harvard as a political science professor, professor of government it was called. And then under Nixon, he literally ran the show. And so over the years, his associates and so on.
I want to also take you on the Russia question. You wrote something that Russia, India and Russia is really no friend of India, to sum it up crudely. And
Right.
Russia has reacted to that, saying that, taking the strategic partnership, you should, that they've misunderstood. But the fact that they reacted to your article first, and what do you make of that?
See, except these paid, fake ID paid tweeters. Almost the entire world thinks I'm a person whose ideas are influential. And they've seen that with this Hindutva movement and then this anti-corruption movement, so on. So I would say that most governments of the world may know that I have hold no position. Maybe I'm not even a great favorite friend of the Prime Minister. But they think that I have great influence with the public. And that's a fact, because you see my Twitter following, where despite all the shadow banning of the Twitters and all kinds of difficulties they gave me, I'm still 10.2 or around that million numbers. And these are all interactive. They are not bulk from Turkey, like Gehlot, the chief minister of Rajasthan, and 2 million followers, but they were all from one shop in Turkey. So
I'll tell Sachin Pilot to get in touch with you for more information.
Yeah, sure. Ask him. He can investigate that. That will be a real embarrassment for him. So therefore, I'm saying that they're replying, I respect it. And I said I'm ready for a debate. But my problem is something which people in India don't understand. I mean, the problem of dealing with Russia. Russia is not the Russia we know, where we signed a 1971 treaty and they came to power. That was Soviet Union. And it was a communist country. Now we have a dictatorship. And that dictatorship, you see, has to make it clear, are you committed to the Soviet Union? Are you a descendant of Soviet Union? Like BJP declared itself as a descendant of Jansan. It's only then I joined. Otherwise, Vajpayee wanted Gandhian socialism, so I said, I'm not coming. But the moment they went into Hindutva, I came in, which is why I went to the Jansan in the first place. So I would like to know them. Why? Because it was during the Soviet Union period that Subhash Chandra Bose was killed. It was in the Soviet Union period, Lal Bahadur Shastri died. Deen Dayal Upadhyay, Sanjay Gandhi. There are numbers. And and then, of course, the Yeltsin, before Putin came, he had set up a commission on the nefarious activities of the KGB. And they produced a report. Based on that report, one of the commission members called Evgena Alberts came to Harvard to get a PhD. That's when I met her. And she then wrote a book, that State Within the State, the Status of KGB, which is worth reading, where they explicitly say that Sonia Gandhi got money from the KGB. And there are documents of the Chebrikov, who was the Communist Party General Secretary, or whatever he was, International Department, saying that we have to arrange for money because she is coming with. Now, these are all uninvestigated matters. And we can't go by a book allegation. But
how did this connect to your distrust of Russia?
So if you are going to identify with that, then I think, I have to, if Sonia Gandhi had connections with KGB, Putin was trained by KGB, both of them went together to see where the soldier of Hitler's army, Sonia Gandhi's father, Stefano Maino, was kept in jail. They went together in 2006 to St. Petersburg. So if you are just a continuation of that, then you are going to be a continuation of your enmities with people in India, and Jansan was their favorite enemy. So I'm saying, if you disown yourself from that, and therefore give us the files which are lying in your, under lock and key of your KGB former headquarters, you give it to us, then we will say you are friends. Then I'll be very happy. But I know that financially today, and I still consider myself as a friend of the Chinese people. I hope that this madness that has happened in the border is over and we can resume our friendly relations. But till that time, we must be absolutely sure that we are not going to yield an inch and we're going to throw them out.
from wherever they come. But that's another issue. But as far as Russia is concerned, for years they dominated our politics. They blackened the names of Morarji Desai. They did. There was a huge amount of disinformation they did. When Russia came into existence, and they had a new ambassador called Kadakin, he had invited me for dinner, lunch to be exact, and then to his receptions. And he said, we want to start a new chapter. But I told him, will you disown your past? He said, well, I was also a part of the Communist Party. So how can I do that? And this won't be possible, and so on. So that means all the things that I have been standing for against Soviet Union come. So therefore, the bottom line is, I have to make sure that we don't fall into the trap of going by the prior memory of us, the memory of the past, and then believe the Soviet Union when they say that the Chinese have no intention of attacking you and they attack us. Did you do it deliberately? In April 18th, one young lady officer of our intelligence lost her, she was shifted out because she gave a report on April 18th that the Chinese have amassed troops. It looks like they're going to invade. And we said, we asked the Russians, they said, no, this is all military exercise. And then she had to be shifted out. So I think if you are a junior partner, and I'm not the only one who said it, a research institute in Warsaw, Poland has said it, Carnegie Foundation has, in a big paper, has brought out facts about it. And our own foreign secretary in the past, Vijay Gokhale, has written a long op-ed in Hindu paper where he has described all these systems, and it concludes that they have become a junior partner, or they're running the risk of becoming a junior partner. So if you're going to be a junior partner of China, why should I be friendly with them? And
that really is the crux, of the answer. And thank you, Dr. Swamy. We're totally out of time, but I think this is a discussion I would like to continue with you maybe at a later point also. So but thank you so much.
If they agree to debate with me, you'll have another round on that.
Another letter from the Russians. But anyway, thank you so much for talking to us, and thank you all for watching this show.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.